The Can-Am cars, known for their speed and sleek looks, are joined today by the GTs in a Mid-Ohio road race rampage.
Green flag on the first. Keep digging long.
So get set for a 2.5-hour speed fest as the Can-Am and the GTs face off in a Mid-Ohio road race shootout. Next. The wooded, gently rolling countryside of north central Ohio offers a pristine backdrop to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course for today's U.S. Road Racing Classic. This is Gary Lee alongside veteran driver David Hobbs. We have two pit reporters this afternoon. First, let's go to Greg Creamer.
Well, gentlemen, we've got an interesting story developing. The Riley and Scotts from Dyson Racing have swept the front row, but the field has compacted a little bit. This also is a track which favors downforce. That's the Riley and Scott chassis strong point, but a story building back in ninth is David Murray and Tommy Kendall. They had problems in qualifying. Now, in between all these Can-Am cars, there's another batch of cars that'd love to win this one, and Calvin's got that story.
Well, the GT1 Panos has had a lot of class victories this year, but they're certainly going to be a factor here today for the overall victory. Development on these GT cars has been phenomenal. They really looked at Le Mans, trying to win the event over there. This means that the cars are a lot faster than they were last year. Fuel is going to be a factor here. These guys are looking at making one less fuel stop than the sports cars, so look for the number 4 car being started by Andy Wallace and the number 5 started by Raul Boesel to be a factor here today.
And here's our Toyota storyline. First of all, it is Can-Am versus the GT cars. Can the GT cars, first time ever, win overall? The fuel advantage, I would think it would have to go to the GT cars, and David Hobbs, a huge war in the tires.
There absolutely is a tremendous war in tires in this whole series. Our lead Can-Am cars are on Goodyear, our lead GT1 cars are on Michelin, and our lead GT3 cars are on Yokohama. Throw into there Pirelli and BF Goodrich, and you've got yourself a full-scale international tire war here at Mid-Ohio this afternoon.
Well, a 2.5-hour timed event over a 2.2-mile road course. Throw in about 4 pit stops, driver changes. It should be interesting on a cloudy afternoon here in north central Ohio. The U.S. Road Racing Classic is brought to you by Toyota. Every day belongs to you. Make it count. Toyota every day. By Toyo Tires. On the road or on the track, Toyo Proxys radios deliver quality second to none for uncompromised performance. Toyo Tires, driven to perform. And by new Speed Stick Ultimate. Antibacterial odor protection. Kills odor, protects guys. Well, welcome back to Mid-Ohio. David Hobbs, this is one fun racetrack. Let's take a look at our BMW track map.
Well, it certainly is. As you can see, 2.25 miles. They jammed 13 corners in there. That long straightaway from 2 through 3 down to 4 is key. So turn 2 is absolutely crucial. And, of course, a lot of overtaking is going to go into that turn 4. A lot of great elevation change. From 4, you go up to 5, then down to 6, then back up to 7 and 8. 9, you go down to 10, back up to 11, and then and levels off down to 12. So it's really, really a great track. Just a little bit difficult to overtake on.
Well, we'll have 27 cars starting, each with 2 drivers assigned. Take a look now at the starting grid with our starting drivers. Up in front, it's Team Dyson. Butch Leitzinger in 16, EFR. Elliott Forbes Robinson in 20. In the second row, it's the Panos team of Andy Wallace in 4 and Raul Boesel in number 5. In the third row on the inside, Scott Schubot will team with Henry Camperdam, John Field in number 28. And then it's Jim Matthews alongside Terry Bootson, who now leads the GTU class in number 38. In the fifth row, Tommy Kendall, fresh off his run in the IROC race at Michigan yesterday, starts inside 5 alongside Mike Davies in the only Ferrari in the field. Then Jared Schrader and George Robinson share row 6. In the 7th row on the inside, it's Shane Lewis in number 2 and Bobby Brown outside in 51. Jim Downing at Kudzu Mazda and Larry Schumacher in 99 will be in the 8th row. In the 9th row, we'll take a look at Bill Auberland in number 10, Court Wagner in 23. Row 10 is Ross Bentley in number 1 and Darren Law in 07. That's a Porsche 911. The 11th row, Don Kitch and Philip Cowan. Then it's Cameron Worth and Steve Marshall in row 12. The 13th row, William Stitt in 52 and Lester Falgren in number 81. Take a look now at 3 of our in-car cameras. Ross Bentley drives a BMW number 1, but first let's go on board the only Ferrari, and that is car number 88. Mike Davies and Bill Dollarhite will have that one. Ross Bentley drives the number 1 BMW, and then we'll have the number 10 Bill Auberlin. Bill was the fastest qualifier in the GT3 class. So actually 4 races in 1. We have the Can-Am cars, the open cockpit variety, and then we have the GT1, GT2, and GT3. And as we say, this is a very fun racetrack to drive on. David Hobbs, also a very busy racetrack for these drivers.
It's incredibly busy. The Can-Am cars should be quicker around here, but they carry less fuel than the GT1 cars. The GT1 cars, you see them lurking there in row 2. Very fast, big engines, but they have slight restrictors on them to keep them down. But of course, they have slightly better fuel consumption. This is at turn 4 where we're going to see a lot of passing action this afternoon.
And this is really a dirty racetrack. We have just seen a Trans Am race here won by Paul Gentilossi. And so with 45 laps of Trans Am racing, a lot of marbles on this racetrack. You see the cars sliding already in that first corner. Actually, the starting line was not going to be the finish line. They start on the backside of this racetrack because the front straightaway is so short, they don't have room to get the entire field straightened along that straightaway before they drop the green.
Absolutely. There, the 28 car there of John Field just overtook the lead GT1 car. So John Field looking pretty good at the moment.
Got a quick shot at Terry Bootson there, who is Bob Wallach's teammate in that GT1 Porsche here this afternoon. As you take a look at the number 16 car, the lead car of Butch Leitzinger. Now, this car had some engine problems on Friday, and they actually just grenaded that engine big time. Got very little practice on Friday, came back to take the pole on Saturday.
Broke the front end of the crank off. Following him is Elliot Forbes Robinson. Elliot Forbes Robinson lining up with our sometime announcer, Dorsey Schrader. But look at him, he's coming under fire from John Field in another Riley and Scott. Right behind him, the first of the GT1 cars.
And this is a weekend where the GT1 strategy is just one item on the list, and that is win it all. Don't win the class, win it all. And here's a pass for third position. And there goes one of the Panos entries, number 4. That is Andy Wallace. Andy, of course, last year was a teammate with James Weaver on the Dyson team. And, of course, now they're battling each other.
And he's looking for his 5th consecutive win in North America this year. Andy Wallace, of course, was at Le Mans last week. Like a lot of these drivers were, as well as the Panos cars were at Le Mans last week. And he's looking for his 5th consecutive win. But like you said, what these guys really want to do is to try and win this race overall. Then look for Michelin to shout that from the rooftops, because those cars are Michelin shod. The 2 lead cars at the moment on Goodyear.
Well, again, team orders is win it all today. At all costs, we want an overall win. It's never happened before. It's come close in the past. Last year was very close on occasion. It has not happened so far.
Thierry Boutsen, the 38 car. Thierry Boutsen was driving a Toyota last week at Le Mans, and he was leading to within about 3 hours to go when finally the car quit. Thierry Boutsen and I, of course, drove together in 1984. We drove here on this racetrack, and we had a really good season in Europe together, driving a Porsche 956 and then a 962. Of course, he's now driving an RS GT1 car, and he and his teammate Bob Wallach and I had a couple of good races here way back in the mid-80s.
Well, there's Scott Schubot in that blue and yellow. That's the support net, Henry Camperdam's car. And right behind them is the 39 entry being driven by Tommy Kendall. Now, Kendall started this race today because I think he'll drive 2 stints. David Murray, who is much smaller, much shorter, said it's easier to change drivers when you go from the large driver to the smaller driver. So Tommy Kendall, who did not practice at all yesterday, he was in this car briefly on Friday, then went to Michigan for the IROC race, led 46 laps yesterday, and he said this morning, you know, I led the wrong 46. He led the first 46 laps, but got past, and Jeff Burton went on to win that one.
Right behind Tommy Kendall is Jim Matthews. Jim Matthews, of course, owns these 2 cars, the 36 and the 39 car. And he's driving with Barry Waddell out of Evansville, Indiana. Tommy Kendall, of course, driving with David Murray, who also drove a factory Porsche last week at Le Mans. So these guys have had a busy week, driven a lot of miles in this last week. Apart
a few of these guys are still suffering from jet lag after the trip back from France. Let's go down pit side and Greg Kramer.
Well, Gary, of course, one of the things to be watching a little bit later on is the pit strategy. We talked about the different fuel allotments for the Can-Am cars versus the GT1. The Can-Am car, given its green, can go about 40, maybe 45 with a lot of help. The GT cars can go 50 to 55 minutes. So that's going to create the difference. The Can-Am cars will have to have 3 stops. The GT cars could do it on 2. And then the GT3 cars can go almost an hour and a half. So things in the pits are going to be cycling. It's going to be very interesting.
A couple of Carolina Turkey cars out there. The 39 car is Tommy Kendall. That is the brand new Riley and Scott. The 36 of Jim Matthews is a 2-year-old ex-Dyson car. But there is your leader, the Dyson team out in front here at Mid-Ohio. Back at Mid-Ohio for the U.S. Road Racing Classic. There's a look at Terry Boutsen in the Porsche GT car. That's running now 5th overall in this race, some 9 seconds behind the leader. Terry Boutsen leads the point standings in GT1. In fact, only 2 of the top 10 are racing here this weekend. Shane Lewis is second, some 17 points back. So once again, Terry Boutsen in that Porsche number 38 is third in that division right now in GT1, but 5th overall.
And giving the 5 car of Raul Basel a surprisingly good run. Right with it, coming up to lap one of the slower GT2 cars, GT3 cars there, allowing Thierry to close up even more on Raul Basel.
I saw Raul in the hotel lobby this morning. He looked up and said, "Are we going to race the rain?" This has been an unusual weekend for weather. We have gone from brilliant sunshine and 30 minutes later torrential rain back to brilliant sunshine.
And of course, as always in Ohio here in the summer, it is pretty warm, although it's relatively cool for what this circuit can be. I mean, I was carted off to the medical tent here after one of these races many years ago. It was incredibly hot and humid, so it's great racing weather as long as it doesn't rain, because when it rains, you see those concrete patches on the corners there. There's one right there. Boy, they do get slick.
You're looking at one of the Carolina Turkey cars right there. That's David Murray in 39. Sandwiched there in between the 2 Carolina Turkey cars is the 28 of John Field. Those Carolina Turkey Riley and Scott cars are owned by Jim Matthews, who is a hog farmer. They say that is the odor of money. Back to your leader. That's the number 16 of Butch Leitzinger, who was last year's World Sports Car Champion, driving for Dyson Racing. This car began from the pole position after having the engine trouble on Friday. In fact, these guys have had very little time in the cars this weekend, David. Only a very short practice session, really, on Friday. And the qualifying session yesterday was only like 13 minutes long.
Very quick, yeah. You know, a lot of sorting out to it. A car that's got a lot of aerodynamic downforce like these have got, and the GT cars. It's quite a job to sort a car out, especially on a corner, on a track like this. It's got so many different types of corners. This is a tremendous battle here.
Well, there's a look at 4th, the Panos. There's the Porsche in 5th, and there is
this is for
6th position.
5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th right here together. Bob Wallick's on Michelin tires in this car. The car behind him's on Michelin. There's Pirelli on the Carolina Turkey car.
Well, Boutsen was listed as a starting driver in 38, and he has overtaken the Panos, so he moves up 1 position. He's up in 4th right now. Of course, Bob Wallick, what can you say about Bob? You talk about an endurance driver par excellence.
Poor old Bob, of course, last week at Le Mans, he was going so well, and his co-driver made a slight mistake, didn't damage the car, but lost them some time when they were running like 3rd and 4th. And then, of course, what happens at Le Mans, a couple of cars dropped out in front, and hey presto, his team car won, and he came 2nd for about the 6th time. The guy was in tears because he's 54 years old and hasn't got many chances left to win it. Going through some traffic there. I think that's Lester Falgren in that 81 car, GT3 car. He's driving with Dick Greer. Dick Greer, of course, comes out of Columbus, Ohio. We see him pop up and down.
Well, Dick Greer just ran 45 laps in the Trans Am race. He's 66 years old and began his racing career when he was 50. Let's go down to Calvin Fish.
Well, an update on Scott Schubert. He qualified extremely well, his strongest qualifying position of the year, 3rd in class, 5th overall, and he's faded a little bit back to 10th position. I just spoke to Phil Creighton, who's the crew chief. He says Scott is struggling with the car, is oversteering right now. They feel that the Trans Am rubber that was laid down just under an hour ago has really affected the balance of the race car. He's adjusting the rear anti-roll bar, and he's hoping for a pit stop to make an adjustment.
Well, of course, we'll hear those terms, David. Oversteer, understeer. That simply means it's loose or it's pushing.
Tight, loose, pushing, wedge, and all those other names that people are so familiar with on the television screen.
Well, we'll have a quiz.
Yeah, oversteer and understeer to me.
Well, oversteer means it's loose, and understeer means it's pushing.
Absolutely. And there's Mike Davis in the Ferrari. Certainly has a magnificent sound bouncing back off those trees here at Mid-Ohio. Good crowd turning out to watch this weekend's racing. A lot of racing being had here the last couple of days. A couple of 3 races yesterday. A couple of races already, well, 3 races already today. So very, very busy weekend. Great for the crowd here at Mid-Ohio. And of course, a wonderful circuit to watch racing at because you can move around and see it from various vantage points.
You saw David Murray almost get his nose chopped off there with the number 5 Panos of Raul Boisel as the brake lights went on. That is the battle for 5th position. This car had a problem in qualifying. They lost the power steering, had a shock problem. Most of these cars do have the power steering assisted boxes, although the number 95, that Chevy Hawk, being driven by, let's see, Jared Schrader started that race, Tom Volk's car, and they are not driving with power steering this afternoon. So once again, a 2.5-hour timed event for the Can-Am and the GT from Mid-Ohio. We have seen a good battle throughout the early stages of this 2.5-hour timed event. There is the time remaining, just over 2 hours and 15 minutes, but a great battle for 5th position between the Panos of Raul Boisel and the 39 Carolina Turkey, Riley and Scott Ford, driven in the opening stint by Tommy Kendall, and Tommy's co-driver David Murray joins us up here. And you guys had some trouble getting that car qualified yesterday.
Well, we did. You know, with all the rain, Tommy doing the outright race, he had to do the only dry session, so we didn't have a chance to really set the car up. Yeah, we had both cars running close together there. Oh, a little action there. But we had a power steering belt break in qualifying, so we lost some time during that. We also made a lot of changes in the warm-up this morning, and the car's a lot better. That's why you see them moving up. And then the GT1 cars, with a smaller tire, a little more weight, will slowly, as the session goes on, lose grip, and that's why you see them starting to pass the Panos.
Well, both of your cars now are around that number 5, and you're riding now in that Ferrari number 88. And look at the traffic right in front of Mike Davies, down through Thunder Valley.
This is really where the V8, the Ford motor helps us, because in traffic we don't have to wait for the thing to spool up. It's always got instant torque.
Now, of course, this is going to go on. This is a long race this afternoon, 2.5-hour timed race. You're going to be in traffic all the time, David. I mean, it is an incredibly difficult course. You've got so many turns, and you get caught up with those GT3 and GT2 cars who've got their own race going on. I mean, it gets pretty fraught, as we've just seen from on board here with Mike Davis.
It does, and that's the good part about having the torque. But at the same time, you get caught behind somebody and you can be in trouble quick. There you see another WSC, the 28 car, starting to catch up to the Panos, just because of the fact that with a little extra weight, they can turn a quick lap in qualifying, but then during the race, their tires go off before the Can-Am cars do, because of the weight and the width of the tire.
Now, going into the keyhole right here, this is a turn that wants to spit you off the left side.
Right.
The same with the carousel.
It starts pitching out. So this is second gear. So we're going to go up to 5th gear through this short straightaway compared to Le Mans. But you've got 160 miles per hour here. You see the Ferrari has the extra horsepower when it gets the legs, but by the time he gets there, he can't quite make the pass. You brake here, go back to either 2nd or 3rd gear. You can use 2nd. And you stay in 2nd through this. The concrete patches you see there are very slippery, so you make it a point to put your inside tires just inside the concrete there, and also here, up to 3rd gear here. Stay to the left a little bit. The car gets very light right here, and you get wheel spin if you're full throttle, so you got to either be straighter or be careful about it. 2nd gear here, and the same thing over the rise, it loses a lot of grip here. Up to 3rd, up to 4th, and then here we're going to go back to 3rd, just a quick brake, turn in and go, and the same thing with the concrete there. You saw I got a little bit off the apex and had a little loss of traction there. Back down to 2nd gear here, patient, turning in. 2nd, and you go up to 3rd through here. The Ferrari's got a little longer rev range, so their gears may be a little different. Then we go up to 3rd and 4th on this straight. Stay in 4th unless there's traffic. Then go back down to 3rd.
There are so many blind turns at this racetrack. You have no idea what's out in front of you.
Well, that's true. And this morning I was behind this particular Ferrari, came in through the left-hand kink. He slowed way down, which I didn't know why until it was almost too late. A car had spun on the other side of the hill. So he saw it before I did, and that's where you run into problems with this particular racetrack.
Your leader up behind Bobby Brown. Brown moves over and puts the 51 car a lap down.
And there's so much traffic out there and such a tremendous diversity of speed. I mean, these guys lapping 5 seconds a lap quicker than some of those middle GT3 cars, and of course they're all duking it out for their own race, and they aren't going to give up road, and they aren't going to give up track position to let the leaders through. There's a look at the leader back to second place. Car number 20, the other Dyson entry, Elliott Forbes Robinson driving the first stint. Dorsey Schrader will drive probably 2 stints. Now, David, what is your plan? You're going to let Tommy Kendall stay out there through that first pit stop?
Yeah, I think we'll probably let him stay out for the first stop and go on, because the driver change, some of these guys will probably make 2 driver changes, but you always run the risk of a problem. And particularly with Tommy and I being, I think about 3 feet difference in height, it makes it really difficult for Tommy to get in after me. So that's the real reason that Tommy starts the car instead of me, is just for the fact of it's about 10 seconds quicker for the driver change from me getting in after him.
He's the power forward and you're the point guard, right?
Well, I tell you, he's 6'4". In addition to that, he doesn't have a lot of mobility in his ankles, so he has to push the pedals instead of pivoting his ankle. So that means his feet have to be another 4 inches back. So it's really like he's 6'8" in the car.
The 2 Dyson cars out there in front right now, running about a second off what they qualified yesterday. Like we say, we fought weather all weekend long. The track was somewhat wet when they qualified yesterday, but it is dry now, except for the Marbers left from that Trans Am race that we had earlier, won by Paul Gentilossi. So once again, the Dyson cars continue to run 1 and 2. Number 16, Butch Leisinger down the front. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and there is the brake smoke coming off that 38 Porsche of Terry Bootson.
Yeah, I believe that's carbon fiber brakes. Those cars are able to run that in the rules that they are allowed. They also have ABS. This is a terrific battle for honors in GT1. The 38 car of Bootson was leading the 4 car. The 4 cars managed to get back around Terry, so these 2 guys really duking it out here for honors in GT1. They're behind the 2 lead Can-Am cars, but they're still running very, very strongly there. And of course they could run a little bit longer. They have more fuel. They have 100 liters of fuel. The Can-Am cars have only got 80 liters of fuel. Of course these are bigger cars. They've got good aerodynamics, mind you, and they weigh a little bit more, but nevertheless they can stretch those stops just by a few vital minutes, which in a timed race like this could be crucial.
Well, that is the battle for the lead in that division. They're running for 3rd overall, about 19.5 seconds behind that lead Dyson, Riley and Scott Ford. In fact, all the Riley and Scott cars in today's race, there are 6 of them, are Ford powered. Let's go down to Greg Creamer.
Well, gentlemen, we've got the number 95 Supreme Exhaust Systems machine in the pits, and they're not sure what's wrong. It just suddenly started to lose power. Jared Schrader behind the wheel radioed in. He had a problem. They're kind of looking around, but they really don't know what the problem is. They've got the engine cover off and working in there in serious consultation with Jared to try and figure it out, but they just don't know what the problem is. They did pull some tape off the radiator ducting on the front, so maybe it overheated a little bit. We'll try and find out for you.
Well, this is tough because Tom Volk is the team owner. He actually has 5 different companies in 4 states, and he has 2 bus loads of employees and customers representing 100 race fans here this afternoon. 50 from the Toledo area and 50 from Indianapolis, and he fed them and went and entertained them earlier, so it's tough to see that car in the pits so early as that battle continues for honors in GT1. But again, this battle for 3rd position overall is about 20 seconds behind the 2 leaders. We mentioned that all the Riley and Scott chassis have the Ford engine. However, George Robinson has ordered a new Riley and Scott with Chevrolet power, and he's out there today with the Jack Baldwin battling in that Aurora. The Oldsmobile, they're well back right now.
Boy, Bob Wallach now giving him a really tough time. That's the 4 car that's being driven by Andy Wallace. His co-driver, of course, David Brabham.
And look at that car back there in the 3-car battle. There comes Tommy Kendall.
Yeah, I tell you, that Porsche has really done some development work. They've come a long way. The Panos was so quick before that the Porsche wasn't able to run with them in the last few races, but now the Porsche is right there, and it's a great battle. I'd like to see that 39 car do a little passing as well. You can see the difference in horsepower between the 2 GT1 cars and our Can-Am car, but look at the difference in handling. That's where we make up all our time, is the handling.
Well, those Riley and Scotts are noted for their downforce and for their handling, and this certainly is a track that plays well for that car.
And that's what's good. Unfortunately, we had problems in qualifying, but you can see now in the twisty stuff, you watch Tommy catch back up, and then when they get on the straightaway, that's why it's going to be very difficult to pass until the straightaway on the braking.
Back to Greg Creamer.
Well, we've got the GT1 Intruder in the Moser Raptor, and they have a problem there looking at the brakes on the car, both front and rear. So we're not exactly sure. We're going to try and find out. It could be a soft pedal. They could be losing some fluid, but they are looking brakes both front and rear, both sides of the car. Boy, to have this kind of a problem this early in the race is not good. This could be a long stop.
Well, we want to thank David Murray for taking the walk across the paddock to our broadcast position. And I know you're eager to get back there in the cockpit of that number 39 car. We'll be watching for you. Have a good ride.
It's pretty exciting here watching it, so I'd hate for Tommy to come by. I think he just motioned me when he went by here, so I better get back.
He waved to you?
He waved to me and said, bring a sandwich when you come. But thanks for having me.
Bring a turkey sandwich, bring your helmet, I'm coming in. So our thanks to David Murray. We'll see him out there a little bit later this afternoon in the number 39 Carolina Turkey, Riley and Scott Ford. That 39 car right now back in the 5th position. You know, I have to question what the problem could be with this number 5, this Panos entry, because we had expected that Panos to be up closer to the front than number 5 right now, way back in 10th position.
Yes, not going how they thought they would go at all. In fact, not only back in 10th, but I mean they are slipping back as time goes on. So they've obviously got a problem with that number 5 car, unless they're being real conservative on fuel. Because as we keep saying, there is a difference in fuel consumption of these cars. And of course, when these two lead cars, Butch Leitzinger and Elliott Forbes Robertson, if they can pull out about a 20-second gap on the first of the GT1 cars, even that's going to be difficult to make up with one less fuel stop. If you can pull out enough time on each of the stints, you can still win the race. They were very worried the GT1 car might just win this race, but if they can pull away at this speed, they should be in good shape.
Well, Butch Leitzinger and his teammate James Weaver are now second in the Can-Am point standings, but Mauro Baldi, who leads by 2 markers, is not here this weekend. Weaver Leitzinger continues to lead. Mike Davies has the lone Ferrari in the pits, and this would be a very early pit stop if, in fact, it's a routine stop, David.
I think it is absolutely a routine stop. Not well. They've done 24 laps. It's a bit on the early side, but they may be very conservative about their fuel consumption too.
And then we're also hearing from the pit area could be leaking fluid, so we see some something dripping there as the crewman goes to work on the back of the car to take a look-see.
Racing cars do tend to leak. Oh, obviously more serious than we thought.
Calvin?
Yes, well, the 88 car is in with Mike Davies behind the wheel. There was some grass in the front radiator. I don't know if that contributed to the problem they're having in the engine, but a lot of oil coming out of the back pan there, as you can see. He was smoking for 2 or 3 laps. The crew called him in. They did the routine pit stop work. The back section's coming off. He's just going to miss our crew guy there. A little tight here in the pits, but they're not going to go to work. But a severe leak underneath this machine, and that looks expensive on one of these Ferrari V12s.
Well, so he'll probably be climbing out, and that looks like that could be terminal for our lone Ferrari. As we go back to the leader, and now we're showing only 10 cars, make that 9 cars now on the lead lap. And there's the Larry Schumacher Porsche, that purple and white number 99 about to be placed a lap down. Actually, that'll go 2 laps down now to your leader. So Leitzinger continues to show the way for the Rob Dyson Racing Team. Dyson's cars running 1 and 2. Leitzinger sharing his ride with James Weaver. Elliott Forbes Robinson riding in second, sharing the ride with Dorsey Schrader. As you take a look at the overall standings right now, there's the Andy Wallace Panos car back in third, then Tommy Kendall, another Riley and Scott Ford in fourth, and the Porsche of Terry Bootson and Bob Wallach back in 5th position. Of course, there's John Field having a good ride this afternoon in car 28. There's Barry Waddell starting that car, number 36, the other Carolina Turkey, Riley and Scott Ford. Scott Schubot started well, but then fell off, and he's climbing back to the standings now. So again, only 9 cars now on the lead lap as you take a look at the overall standings in a 2.5-hour timed event on this 2.2-mile, 13-turn road course with lots of elevation changes, lots of off-camber turns. It's a fun racetrack, but it's also a very busy racetrack. Not really but one long area to rest, and that would be coming out of the keyhole, turn 2, down to turn 4. It's a long straightaway. That right-hand dog leg gives you a chance to flex your fingers and take an extra breath.
It does a little bit, but the trouble with the straight here, that turn 3, which is that sweeper kind of on the straight, does mean you've got to concentrate all the way down even the straight bit here.
Look at
Elliot
this.
Forbes Robertson comes in the 20 car line second.
Calvin Fish, here comes second place.
EFL pulls it into his pit stall. Very tight on the fuel window here, guys. They really needed to get to 40 minutes, and they're very close right now. Obviously, Pat Smith, who runs this team, feels that Elliott has got enough to be able to make it on two more stops, excuse me, but Elliott's going to stay in. He will be turning the car over to our own Dorsey Schrader. New set of good years going on, but these two Dyson cars look strong. Actually, the pace of the Panos is a little surprising. They're really not giving these guys as hard time as we expected. Good pit stop for this team.
Well, of course, he was all the way down at the pit out, and so the 45-mile-per-hour speed limit in the pits had him slow coming in, but he torques it up. Well, apparently the 88 Ferrari is, in fact, out of the race, so Mike Davies stays in the cockpit, and he'll steer that car back to the garage area. Greg?
Well, the problem is an oil leak, and it's looking pretty terminal, although Mike Davies staying in, so they're hopeful to maybe get it fixed, then get permission to come back out from behind the wall, get back in it, but not looking good. Bad oil leak.
So let's go back to your leader now. If one Dyson car came in, can we anticipate momentarily the second Dyson car?
Well, of course, when you've got a team of cars, it does make life a lot easier. You can pull one in early-ish. Obviously, then you find out how much fuel you put in that car, and assuming they're both running very, very similarly, which they will be, you can then judge the second car more finely, and of course, obviously, go back to a more regular run for the first car in.
Out of the back of the #1 BMW. That's a car driven by Ross Bentley.
It's currently lying 16th and second in GT3 to the team car, the #10 car, which is lying 13th, and then of course being driven by Bill Oberlin. So
there's the battle for second position right there. The Panos runs in second, but right behind is Tommy Kendall, and he challenges for that #2 spot. And right behind him is the Porsche.
And of course Tommy Kendall could well be headed for the pits fairly shortly as well. David Murray, who was with us a few moments ago, has gone back just in case he's needed, although he doesn't think he will be.
Oh, look at this.
It's in a close race down into the corner here. The extra braking ability of the Can-Am car, a little bit more downforce and a little bit lighter, helped him there to outbrake Thierry Boutsen in the heavier.
Boutsen had that Porsche alongside, though. Down to the area they call the Madness and the Thunder Valley. Look at the elevation change.
The Can-Am car a little bit quicker through this sector, but of course there's not a lot of places here that you can actually do any overtaking, so not a lot you can do with it. Although that Panos, that front engine, I say front engine, the engine's sort of in front of the driver more or less. Very, very good weight distribution. It's actually a mid-engine car. Great car out of, whoa, there he goes down the outside. Yep, good pass there by Tommy Kendall. Pulls it off.
Had a trap behind John Field and made the pass in traffic. Look at this, all three right together. Here comes the Porsche of Thierry Boutsen, 3 wide down the straightaway. Woo. That's a hold your breath white knuckle ride into turn 1.
Boy, oh boy, Andy Wallace there decided to give it best as they went into that turn 1. Turn 1, the quickest corner here. Probably 100, 110 mile an hour in these cars. So Tommy Kendall now up into second spot.
Tommy Kendall up behind the Schumacher Porsche, that purple and white 99, to go by on that long straightaway. There is the battle for third position, which is actually a battle for top spot in GT1.
There's a GT2 car that just parked at Larry Schumacher, the 99 car. That purple car is leading in GT2, so putting another lap on him.
Again, we anticipate a pit stop for number 16. That time, though, did not come in. And again, we go back to that battle for third position. Andy Wallace continues to hang on. Thierry Boutsen right behind him. So again, your Dyson car, number 16, continues to lead. We anticipate a pit stop. But Butch Leitzinger continues to show the way. Tommy Kendall is second, Andy Wallace is third, and Thierry Boutsen is fourth. The U.S. Road Racing Classic is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Well, we're watching the leader, still anticipating a necessary pit stop for Butch Leitzinger. But right now, Butch enjoying the lead over the number 39 car of Tommy Kendall.
Well, he's obviously just gone past the pits yet again. So now that's 3 laps more that he's done than his the team car.
But by having the team car pit and seeing how much fuel they had left, they might have a gauge as to how long they leave him out.
Absolutely, that's the whole idea of having a team of a couple of cars. It does make life a lot simpler for you.
Well, here's the battle back in GT as Terry Boutsen going around the number 4 of Andy Wallace up to 3rd. Now that battle is for 3rd overall, some 36 seconds behind your leader. Right now, the Dyson number 16 is out in front by 33, almost 34 seconds over the 39 car of Tommy Kendall. And in that earlier shot, you saw the team owner, Rod Dyson, with the driving suit on just in case. And oh, there's a problem right now. John Field has spun in the keyhole. Keeps it out of the gravel trap, though. Able to engage the clutch, find the gear, go over the rumble strip.
He needs to be careful driving over that curve because he could get this car high-sided, and it could damage the under tray, which would severely affect his downforce.
Well, the 95 car, back out, Jared Schrader. That's the car that's about a 4-year-old chassis. It's that Hawk chassis with Chevrolet power. They're giving up about 100 horsepower to the other teams. That car is running without power steering, so even for the young driver, it can be a handful. Here's John Field. He gets on the high side of Larry Schumacher, and around he goes.
Boy, oh boy, nearly got hit by the 8 car there too, didn't he?
So Field had a very good race early on. And here comes Tommy Kendall. Greg is there.
This is anticipated to be routine. They are not going to do a driver's change, but Kendall frantically signaling he needs water. He needs something to drink. And no, oh, there it comes. Oh, he needed one with a hose. Oh, and he's not happy about that. Otherwise, the stop going fine. Tires are on. Right rear is on. Fuel is going in. Kendall is staying on board, so David Murray gets to relax just a little bit longer. But Tommy really needed something to drink, and they're not able to get anything to him, apparently. So he's not going to be able to get refreshed. He's going to go out. It's hot, and he is going to be thirsty. The car's down, and fuel is done. Let's go into, let's check in with Calvin Fish. Cal?
Number 8 machine is in. Scott Schuber had a great opening stint, great qualifying performance. He turns it over to Henry Camperdam, his co-driver. The team goes to work. They're struggling a little bit with the right rear right now. And also you're going to see that the leader is now pulling in pit lane. We're going to get to that one right now. Butch Leitzinger brings the car in. He's going to be staying in the car. The crew goes to work. Very important now today, guys, that these guys do not have a mix-up on the fuel stops, because they're going to be making an extra one on top of the GT1 cars. So the Dyson team goes to work. New set of Goodyear's going on. Tires obviously a factor here today. This tire battle has really heated up, as David said. And looks like a routine stop so far. The crew go to work, clean out the front radiator grill. They're getting the last drops of fuel in. Very important. Now, this car has gone about 5 to 8 minutes longer than the number 20 machine. So Ronnie stalls it. Oh, a big mistake right now. The crew goes to work. They're shoving him down pit lane. There's a little uphill right here. This is a struggle. Butch is going to try and get this thing fired up. He's underway. Valuable seconds lost there, guys.
Well, he stalled it, and you noticed that Tommy Kendall also stalled the 39 car when he went out.
He did indeed. He got it started really quickly, though, Tommy Kendall. So they all stopped on lap 32, and EFR stopped earlier on lap 29. Now, the interesting thing is going to be how long can those GT1 cars go? This, of course, being the current leader of GT1, lying second overall, probably, in fact, leading the race now. In the 38 car, Thierry Boutsen, how many more laps can he go? He's going to have to go a lot more to make up enough time so they can stop coming in again.
Let's go back to pit lane. There's Barry Waddell.
Yeah, teammate for Tommy Kendall in the other car, number 36, bringing it in. This will be a driver's change. Waddell getting out, and he looks, he's still connected. He's got his wiring loom. There he goes. But, this looks a little bit more severe. There is no energy here. They are taking the rear bonnet off the car. We've got a major problem with this machine. We'll figure out what it is and get back to you with an update, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's the 2-year-old Riley and Scott. That's the car they bought from Dyson Racing at the midpoint of last season. And so you could just tell the way Barry got out that it was not routine. The veteran from Evansville, Indiana, as the rear cowling, the engine cowling comes off. And you take a look now at the overall leader. That's Terry Boutsen. And notice, if you will, that dust, the brake dust, behind those wheels from the carbon fiber brakes.
Boy, oh boy, look at you, wait till he puts the brakes on down the end of this. There it comes, look at it, just fantastic cloud of dust. And of course, got fiber brakes and as far as fiber pads. So you get a huge amount of carbon fiber dust come off there, and of course at the end of the race you're going to put new pads and new discs on the car.
Well, Boutsen had been in second place, some 33 seconds behind your leader, and then on the leader's pit stop, Boutsen takes over, so now he enjoys a 5-second lead over Andy Wallace in this 2.5-hour event. Back at the U.S. Road Racing Championship from Mid-Ohio, there is a look at the time remaining, just over 1 hour 36 minutes. And Calvin, we're seeing the first pit stop for the Paynos.
That's right, the first of the GT leading cars is in. Andy Wallace jumps out of the number 4 machine, headlights blazing as he pulls it down pit lane. Obviously a restrictive speed limit here, he has to bring it in very slowly. It's going to be the Australian David Bradford climbing in behind the wheel. Crew goes to work, fresh set of Michelins. The story was after qualifying that David may have really kind of hurt these tyres in really putting in a strong qualifying performance. Be interesting to see now with a fresh set on whether he can actually increase the pace that Andy was running in his first stint. But the crew is trying to get the last drop of fuel in. Obviously this is going to be a factor now. They've almost gone an hour now, so they're certainly going to be looking at one more stop. It may not be a complete stop. They may not need a whole fuel load on their second stop in this race. It may be a 3/4 fuel load, and that could be a factor also.
Well, keep in mind, as the Paynos comes in 54 minutes into this race, the lead car now, the 38 Porsche, would be Terry Boutsen. Boutsen has not pitted. However, second place, Elliott Forbes Robinson, which is now about 10 seconds back of your leader, came in at the 34-minute mark.
It's very difficult to work this out. I mean, for these guys to win overall, they basically got to stop once because they're just not making enough time up. They were 34 seconds behind. 34 seconds behind when the lead car stopped. Well, it's 34 seconds in front, which is probably not enough if they're going to have to make another couple of stops. Ooh, Terry Boutsen there getting badly balked by the 21 car there. That's the GT3 car of Philip Collin and Lee Easel. They're out of Lincolnshire, Illinois, and Lexington, Kentucky.
There's the time remaining, 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 25 seconds. And yeah, he just took it over the little rumble strip there.
Oh, did he spin? Did Terry do something nasty to him when he went by?
Philip Collin, I don't think so. Philip Collin is in the cockpit right now. We're talking about one of our storylines was fuel consumption. And again, the number 20 car of Elliott Forbes Robinson, who is now second in the race, came in at the 34-minute mark of this race. The 16 car that was leading at the time, that was Butch Leitzinger, came in at the 42-minute mark. And the GT car, the Paynos of Andy Wallace, came in at the 54-minute mark. So he actually stayed out for 20 minutes longer than Elliott Forbes Robinson, and about 12 minutes longer than the 16 car Butch Leitzinger. So again, it's the fuel economy situation. Look at that brake dust. That's an incredible shot.
It's a fantastic view, isn't it? The 34 minute scenario would probably work. But of course, EFR's car will go a lot more than 34 minutes, I think, on its next load of gas. I think they came in real early just to make sure. This car, of course, is a different engine configuration again completely. The lead Leitzinger car, of course, has got a 5-litre V8 stop block. The Paynos has got a 6-litre V8 stop block with a restrictor to cut down the airflow into the engine. This, of course, has got a flat 6 turbocharged engine of 3.5-litre capacity, but that is twin turbos, and they are both very restricted. So
what's the price tag on the street version of this car?
I think it's about $1 million.
$1 million, something like that.
I'll have a couple.
So once again, Terry Boutsen enjoying an 8-second lead now over Elliott Forbes Robinson. The third car is the Dyson number 16. As we look at the time into this race, the time remaining, and there is Terry Boutsen, who had the lead as he makes the pit stop at 1:31 remaining. So he goes 59 minutes, Calvin.
Terry Boutsen brings it in, and Bob Wallach is going to be taken over behind the wheel. Kind of ironic that these two guys who came so very close to victory at Le Mans last week should be driving here for Porsche. Bob finished second last week with Porsche, and Terry Boutsen was driving the Works Toyota and led till about 3 hours to go. But this looks like a routine stop. These guys are obviously getting good fuel mileage. They're right on an hour right now, as we say. and they're putting a new set of Michelins on. Looks like a routine stop. You see the vent bevel on the front end, as well as the fuel going in the front end of this machine. Meanwhile, the crew goes to work just cleaning up the windshield. Bob is busily buckling up his belts and connecting the radio connector right now. Looks like he's struggling a little bit for this, but now he looks like he's ready. Tightening up the left side, waiting for the last gasp of fuel to go in, and these guys will be on their way. But kind of surprising that they were able to run a faster pace than the Panos, having been almost 2 seconds slower in qualifying.
And they stayed out 5 minutes longer, so if they can run another hour before their pit stop, this could put those guys in victory lane. David?
That could be the key. Obviously, one assumes that as this is a single-car team, and that was their first stop, they were being just a little bit conservative on that stop. But, of course, as Calvin said, they were 2 seconds slower nearly than the number 4 Panos in qualifying, although they were only just over a second slower than the number 5 car.
Well, as we have cycled through the pit stops, there is your leader once again with that Hawaiian lei painted on his helmet. That's Elliott Forbes Robinson. And there is a look at the number 38 car. That is Bob Wallach, who's back in third. Calvin?
Well, a very hot but a very happy Thierry Butz, and a great opening stint, Thierry. Kind of surprising that you're able to overtake those Panos and pull out.
Well, I'm happy when I give the car in first position to my teammate, you see. I had a lot of work to pass everybody, but the car is going so well. I mean, the crew did a very good job to set it up. The car is nice, very nice to drive, no problem so far.
First impressions of this racetrack. I know it's your first visit here. What do you think?
Well, being in the lead, I must love it. There's no other choice.
Reflecting back a week now, Thierry, leading Le Mans with a couple of hours to go, and then the gearbox problem put you out. How does it feel coming back here and getting behind the wheel of a car? Is it better to do that, or really, what do you think?
Well, it's nice not to think at Le Mans anymore, you know, so sitting in a car, in a race car, on a different racetrack, is probably the best thing that can happen to a racing driver when something, I mean, we've been leading the race for 22 hours and 45 minutes at Le Mans, and then small problem with the gearbox put us out of the race, so it is tough, very tough, you know, and coming here, I enjoy driving again.
Well, Thierry's very happy, obviously taking the lead, takes the memories away from 1 week ago.
Yeah, we wanted to correct that. I said that car was in third at the pit stop. It's actually in 5th position. There is that Leitzinger in the other 20 car, or the 16 car. The 20 car is now leading. That would be the Elliott Forbes Robinson car. Butch Leitzinger rides in 2nd position. There is the 20 car. We mentioned that Hawaiian lei on Elliott Forbes Robinson's helmet. His wife is native to Hawaii. And so since he has been racing, he has had a Hawaiian lei on his helmet. She helped him design it.
Well, I often wondered what that was. I never knew. You just told me something new.
There's your trivia for the afternoon. So the Dyson cars, once again, are first and second. Leitzinger is second now, some 4.7 seconds back. And then the first Panos is back there in third position. Pit stops once again here at Mid-Ohio. There is the time remaining in this race, and there is the first stop for Raoul Boisel. Let's go pit side.
The number 5 car with Boisel behind the wheel is bringing it in. It's going to be the Frenchman, Eric Bernard, getting in behind the wheel now. And these guys kind of struggled a little bit in the early going. Raoul was obviously struggling with the balance of the car a little bit in the early stages, but they're running a strong third position as he brings it in, just running behind the lead Dyson cars. Crew going to work, bit of a struggle now. The fuel's going in, but for some reason they're struggling with the connector on the air hose. They can't get the car in the air. This means that the guys can't go to work on the tire change, so this is going to be costly. This is almost like Le Mans Revisited, where you can't do any work on the car till the fuel's in, but obviously that is not the game plan right now. The driver change has gone okay, but a severe problem with the air hose. There's a disconnection there back behind the pit wall. They're trying to sort it out. They're trying to change over to a different and now it goes up. Now the crew can go to work, but this has obviously cost them time. They may be an overheating problem with the engine also. Eric has turned the car off. He's going to wait. The team goes to work to put new Michelins on, but this is a costly pit stop and going to cost them time and track position, I'm sure.
Well, they made the pit stop 64 minutes into this event. So that was the latest that any of our leaders made the first pit stop. So it would seem that the GT1 cars could go on 2 stops. We'll have at least 3 for the Can-Am cars and maybe 4.
And you saw there that steam coming out the side of the car. Of course, as soon as you stop these cars going through the air, they don't have fans. So they rely on the airflow going through the radiators to cool them off. A long stop like that on idle can really heat the engine up, so hopefully he can catch that in time to get some air through there as we watch the number 20 car, that's the EFR, about to hand over. In not such a long time now to our erstwhile TV assistant commentator here, Dorsey Schrader. So trying to extend that lead as much as he can. Hopefully they'll be able to go just a little bit longer this time on fuel.
EFR right now,
they'll know exactly where they are.
EFR enjoying a 5-second margin over the number 16 car of Butch Leitzinger. The 39 car then of Tommy Kendall. And David Murray back there in third position. And the Bob Walling Porsche back and forth. That would be the lead car in GT1. There's Butch Leitzinger in the number 16. Now EFR made his first pit stop at 34 minutes into this race. So he's gone about 30 minutes since then. So we would have to guess again that first stop was conservative, that he can go a bit longer than that 34-minute time span.
Yeah. There you see the overall positions in the Can-Am Championship as it is now. The Ferraris, which are leading, of course, are not here. So this is obviously going to be a good day for the Dyson Racing team.
Now Mauro Baldi has the points lead in the Can-Am division by 2 markers over Butch Leitzinger and James Weaver. Then tied for fourth are Howard Katz and Jim Downing. Downing is here in his 63 car right now, 4 laps off the pace in 14th position. Elliott Forbes Robinson and Dorsey Schrader are tied for 6th. Jarrett Schrader and Tom Vogt are tied for 8th. John Field is 10th. David Murray is now 11th. But of course, those points will scramble just a bit here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here this afternoon, with the leader, Mauro Baldi, not being in competition with the Romo Ferrari. So the question is, how much longer can the leader, number 16, EFR, stay out? Or make that number 20 EFR. Number 16 rides in second, Butch Leitzinger.
And there he is. So there you see the gap. Butch Leitzinger now looking to be closing down a little bit on the EFR. Both of them on the straightaway. There is Leitzinger going into the turn 4. Seen some passing there this afternoon. Up the hill over that 5. Car gets light as you go over the top. Slides to the right on the track. You want to get it back on the left. There you see more of that concrete patching, which gets so slippery when it rains. And of course makes car setup here so difficult. A lot of these corners are patched. This one's another one where the car gets light as it goes over the top. These cars, you don't hear the wheels spin so much. Some of the cars we heard earlier today, you can hear the wheels spinning as they leapt over that brow. And more concrete patching. This left-hander got no camber to help. This is a difficult corner. And the little run down to the entry to this carousel. Such a temptation to overtake people on braking there. But really, this is the most important part of that corner, the exit. Because you come onto this front straightaway past the pits, which is the second fastest straightaway here, and leads into this corner, turn 1, which is the fastest. And of course you want to come off here well, because you've got a long straight up to the keyhole. That was a 75 car there of Cameron Worth and Scott Sanson that he was passing.
As we watch the leader EFR in the last lap, his teammate Butch Leitzinger has gained 1 second. So right now second place trails first place by only 5.2 seconds. The U.S. Road Racing Classic is brought to you by Porsche, who wish to remind you there is no substitute. You ride with Bill Auberlen with that much time remaining, just over 1 hour and 16 minutes. You're riding in first place in the GT3 class, as there goes your leader by.
And the leader goes into the pits again, too.
Yeah, and EFR now in the pits. He peels off, heads for that 45-mile-per-hour speed zone. And that was at, 1:16, I think he comes in. So the first time he only ran 34 minutes. So a little better fuel economy this time as he heads toward Calvin Fish.
Well, Dorsey Schrader is waiting for Elliott. He gives him the big high-five sign, and they're working. Now, remember at Lime Rock, guys, these guys really struggled with their driver change. Dorsey had actually jumped in the wrong side of the cockpit, so Elliott couldn't help him out. Now you see them going to work. They've rehearsed this, obviously, after the mix-up there really cost them victory at the last event. And Elliott's in the other side of the car. The difficulty is, guys, if you don't get the belts buckled up with these new style of helmets, it's very hard for the driver who's sitting in the cockpit seat to actually look down and rebuckle himself. So Elliott's going to work. He's helping him out. Crew is going to work. They're cleaning off the front radiator grill. The fueling is done, so they're now waiting on the drivers. So a very good fuel pit stop for the team. The driver change just cost them a little bit of time.
There's a good look at the
boy, that was a quick fuel stop, wasn't it?
EFR's helmet. You can see the seat belts being cinched. As the EFR a little shorter than Dorsey is. And back to the 10 car. Now, once again, Bill Auberlen now rides in the 10th position. He's done 5 laps off the pace. He'll turn this car over to Boris Said. He is yet to make that first pit stop, but he is leading in class. The GT3 leader is in 10th position overall. And there's a look at Bill Auberlen in that blue and kind of orange helmet.
Boy, oh boy, so they're less than an hour and 16 to go. 56 laps down. I mean, these guys must be ready for some fuel as well.
Now there's the 81 car. Lester Fahlgren and Dick Greer. That is Lester with his open face helmet. A rare view of a driver these days with an open face helmet. Even with the closed cockpits. They like to wear the full face helmet. A little, well, no, that's Greer. Dick Greer in the Wendy's uniform from nearby Columbus. The 66-year-old veteran who said he began racing when he was 50 years old is having a ball. Not having too much fun right now. He ran 45 laps in that Trans Am race earlier, so he could probably use a hot tub this afternoon.
I guess he could. Now, I misidentified that car right early on in the race. There's a yellow flag there. I'm not exactly sure where it is. Of course, if it's in the wrong place, this could bring out a full course caution while they drag that vehicle away. Not exactly sure where it is.
Well, the 10 car would not mind making a pit stop under a full course yellow as Bill Auberlen in the GT3 class continues to lead over the Havens Wagner Porsche. Another BMW with Bentley in third. You take a look at the standings there in the GT3 and you can hear the brake squeal. That would be annoying if he could hear that in the cockpit.
I don't think it sounds, it's not so audio enhanced as it is to us, and I don't think he hears it quite as badly as we do.
And he heads for the pit lane as Boris Said should be standing by to take over the driving chores of this BMW. Greg?
Boris is indeed. You see him pop the door open and he's helping Bill out. Boris will get in. A routine stop going after tires front and rear. Fuel going in. And again, Boris a fair bit taller than Bill, so it's a little bit of a trick to get things done. One of the hardest parts, frankly, is to get the connections for the radio hooked up, but they've done that without any serious problems. One of the nice things, Oberlin had opened up a fairly substantial lead, so they don't have to rush. They can make sure they do it and do it right. Tires are done. Boris is in and chomping at the bit, no doubt, knowing Boris, as soon as the fuel's in, they'll drop it down and he'll get out. But Oberlin, a great run, fuel's down, and we are underway here, Boris Said, back on track.
But notice, if you will, the cloud cover beginning to roll in. Some very ominous-looking clouds there off to the back of the front straightaway behind the paddock area. So, could we have some more rain before this race is over?
Boy, we could do. We've had a lot of rain this weekend, a lot of it not expected. There's a 60% chance of rain today, and if it was to rain at this stage in the race, I'd tell you that track would be really, really slick. No doubt about it. Boris Said takes over that car. Boris has got bloodshot eyes this weekend. His ribs hurt. He had a crash driving his truck last weekend. Only ran into another truck at 160 mile an hour, he said. So I guess that was okay.
That'll give you some racing rheumatism.
It seemed like an awful high-speed crash to me, but he seemed to pass off as just part of the day's work.
Butch Leitzinger leading this race right now in that Dyson number 16, but he is due for a pit stop. He has a lead right now over the 39 of David Murray and Tommy Kendall.
Tommy Kendall, of course, still driving that car, must be about to stop. He's 51 seconds behind. He must be about to stop. And, of course, it can't be that long before the 16 car itself stops again, either.
We anticipate a stop for Butch, and Butch will then turn the driving chores over to James Weaver. And here is the number 1 car. Ross Bentley brings that BMW in. Simo will hop in as the second driver. Mark will take over car number 1.
Obviously, these guys won't stop again. A one stop for them.
They stopped running 12th overall. Yeah, only one stop for these guys as we're well into the race. Now let's get to the battle for GT1, and there is the Bob Wallach Porsche with one of the Panos entries.
That's the fourth car of David Brabham, of course, who's taking the wheel now from Andy Wallace.
Running 4th and 5th overall, but they're battling for the lead in GT1, and coming up behind them is the 16 car. So that battle for GT1 is about to go a lap down to your leader.
Which means that their chances of winning overall, even if they, even with their pit stop strategy, once they go a lap down, it's going to be very difficult for them to win the race overall. David Brabham being very aggressive, qualified very well yesterday afternoon.
Well, let's see if Leitzinger will challenge these guys to put them a lap down as quick as they're running, or will he stay behind them and go ahead and pull off and make his pit stop? Well, he stays out, does not enter pit lane that time by.
I should think he'd dearly like to be a lap in front when he does make the stop. There goes David Brabham down the inside of Bob Wallach into turn 1.
Not a whole lot of room, but he makes it work. And Leitzinger had a great vantage point to watch that pass.
Well, of course, also Bob Wallach then got out of it when he was overtaken by that corner, so that gives Leitzinger... Whoa! Don't do
What did I
that.
say about gingerly going by them or staying behind them?
Boy, oh boy, Leitzinger thought he saw his opportunity there because Wallach had to get out of it going through turn 1 to let Brabham through.
But realistically, though, why would you even try to make the move right there? Why would you?
I don't know.
I know you want to pass somebody because they're in
racing
front of
drivers
you.
do that sort of thing.
Yeah, but you're a lap in front of them.
So what?
Don't take yourself out of the race trying to lap a back marker.
You want to be a lap and a half in front. Well,
well, yeah, but don't take chances like that. So you saw some activity in the Dyson pit, and we would anticipate a pit stop in the next 2 or 3 laps by Butch Leitzinger.
coming up to lap the 99 car now, which is the leader GT2. Here you see it coming up.
Let's go back and look what happened in the keyhole.
Whoa, locked up the rear, clipped that right front on the curb. Let's hope that did not damage that spoiler. These cars got a big splitter that sticks out the front there, and it is a bit vulnerable.
Uh-oh, a problem with car number 39. That was the third place car, Tommy Kendall. So David Murray, who was up in the broadcast booth with us at the start of the race, will not get a chance to perhaps race this afternoon. They had problems earlier with the team car, the 36 car, lost third gear. They worked in the gearbox, and Jim Matthews was going to go out for a few laps anyway. So now Tommy Kendall pulls off course, and the race is over for 39. And there once again, your leader, number 16, trying to get around Bob Wallach Porsche as time is waning here at Mid-Ohio. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Another round of pit stops, and your leader is in at the 1 hour and 6 minute mark. So Butch Leitzinger, 45-mile-per-hour speed limit. You saw a glimpse there of Rob Dyson, the team owner. Calvin, you're down there.
James jumps in, different strategy here. You see Butch actually leaning on the side of the car to assist James with his driver change. Crew goes to work, looks routine so far, guys. Good fuel mileage they're obviously getting with the number 16 car, other than the 20 car seems to be stopping a little bit early. This will affect things on that final fuel stop when they may not need a full fuel load. Obviously James will go the rest of the way. Driver change is done, and they're waiting for the last cars to fill. Oh, and he stalls it. He stalls it. Crew goes and he's rider back up. He's out of here. No, finding the gear. Difficulty finding first gear. Finally finds second, and he's out of the pit lane.
They're making, without stalling, they're making great pit stops. These are quick refueling stops.
Very quick refueling stops. And of course, there goes the sister car, the Dorsey Schrader, into the lead.
So 1 and 2 right together on the racetrack with at least one more stop anyway for the 16 car, maybe 2 for the 20.
Right. He'll be lucky to go. Well, he might get. He will get away with one more stop, right?
There are 5 cars now on the lead lap. Your leader again, the number 16, the number 20, that is. The 16 car is second. Here is number 8. There is Camperdan coming in, and there'll be a driver's change. Calvin?
Scott Schubart's going to go back in. He qualified the car. He did the first stint. Henry did the middle stint. You see the helmet device there. That's the HANS device, which has been advocated by Jim Downing. It really is a great invention, which really protects the neck in the event of a crash. but driver change going to work, and Scott Schubert seems to be assisting himself. Henry's really not helping him too much. Very difficult with these helmets on to really see, and now the crew goes to work. Tire change has been done. They're still refueling the car as we speak, and a little bit slow on the driver change, and looks like they're okay right now. Just going to plug in his radio connection. The fueling is done. Pretty much routine, but not the most efficient stop we've ever seen, guys.
They're one lap off the pace. They were in 8th position when Camperdam came in. Henry, the owner of SupportNet, selling IBM computers out of Indianapolis, Indiana. New father. His son born last winter. So once
well,
again,
it was a bit of a non-cooperative pit stop there. I say that I thought that Camperdam would help Scott Schubert a little bit more with those belts, because as Calvin points out, you know, when you're wearing a helmet, you can't look down because you can't see anything because the bottom of the helmet gets in the way, and you really need your co-driver to help, not only help.
Oh, we almost had a little contact with a Porsche right there.
I think he knew he was coming, but I mean, it's always a danger, of course, in this sort of racing. You know, you lap these guys so quickly because they don't know you're coming. You know, it's easy for us, the faster guys, to say, you know, you've got to move over and let us through, which, you know, is what they should do. But on the other hand, they got things to do themselves too. They're watching the road at the front and they're racing with other people. Not that easy.
Former Trans Am champion Dorsey Schrader out in front right now, enjoying about a 6.5 second advantage over his teammate as we take this break to come back to Mid-Ohio. With less than 45 seconds remaining in the U.S. Road Racing Classic, there is the Bob Wallach Porsche number 38 making the final pit stop. Calvin?
Well, it's not a routine pit stop, guys. We didn't anticipate him coming in yet, but there's a braking problem that seems to be coming from the left front corner of the car. Looks like there may be a caliper leaking or something. As he came into his pit stop, there's a lot of smoke emanating from this left front corner of the car, and it looks like they're going to have to go to work here. There's a leak certainly on the caliper somewhere. They've got brake pads ready. He certainly burned up the brakes here, and this may be a reason that he was dropping back. Remember that number 4 of David Brown passed him and kind of streaked away from Bob, and this car has had a lot of pace in this race, and that was very surprising. So obviously a problem, and they're going to work. They're trying to actually push the pistons back to get the brake pads in, and this car is actually run with ABS. Under the rules in the USRRC, this Porsche GT1 car is allowed ABS, but obviously this means the guys are on him hard, and maybe that contributed to the problem.
So at the time of the pit stop, Wallach had that Porsche in the 4th position overall and 2nd in class. David Brabham continues to lead in class, and he runs 3rd overall to those Dyson cars, as the number 20 car of Dorsey Schrader continues to lead by over 13 seconds. So 13 seconds now between car number 20 and car number 16, and with the time remaining, David, both these cars need one more pit stop, and he is picking up about 3/4 of a second a lap over the team car number 16.
He certainly is driving very, very well. I thought that James Weaver, when he got in, might pick up a little bit of time on Butch Lightsinger, although they're very evenly matched. But Dorsey's either having a better run with the traffic or whatever it is. He is going just a little bit quicker and has about a 13-second lead.
Let's go back to Calvin.
Okay, we're trying to get in position here with Bob Wallach. Bob, obviously a lot of trouble there with the braking. Was that a gradual thing, or did it suddenly go away?
No, it just came suddenly. I had a funny feeling at the end of the straightaway, so I was a little bit conservative for the next heavy braking, and the pedal just went onto the floor and nearly lost it, so I had to come in.
Obviously very disappointing. Thierry had a great opening stint. It looked like you guys had the measure of the Panos here today.
Well, the Panos is fast and it's well driven. I don't know if we would have had a chance to catch them, but the way he was going was tough.
Obviously very disappointing day for you, Bob, but if you can reflect back a week ago, I mean, you came so close yet again at Le Mans. You said 5 times in a row now you should have had victory there.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I deserve it, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just can't get it. Next time.
Okay, well, he's going to go back and he's going to try even harder, guys.
Well, there is a guy that would make a lot of folks happy if he could win Le Mans just one time. Bob, certainly one of the best endurance racers. As you take a look once again at your lead, there's the number 20 of Dorsey Schrader. And second place, the number 16 of James Weaver. There's a look at James Weaver, some 13 seconds behind, almost 14 seconds behind in the final some 40 minutes of this event. Right now, only 3 cars on the lead lap. David Brabham in the Panos, number 4, is some 48 seconds behind your leader back in 3rd position, leading in class and 3rd overall.
That's the sort of thing that can cost you some time there. James Weaver caught up with that traffic at the wrong place, decided to make his pit stop there and then, as he had lost a bit of time, so he probably decided to come in right there.
So the 16 car, and we'll not see a driver's change this time. This could be fuel only. And so they can run the distance on this one stop. We had thought perhaps after Elliott Forbes Robinson had stopped earlier that this one car might have to go a 5th stop. Calvin?
Well, James Weaver brings it in. This is a surprise, guys, that the 16 is pitting before the 20 car, now driven by Dorsey. But what they've done is they obviously didn't get quite a full fuel load in on that last stop. Remember when we commented it was very fast with the fuel, and maybe they didn't get a full fuel load in because this is a very short stint for James Weaver. But as a routine stop, he does not stall the car, and he's out of here. But a little bit of a gear selection problem. He's really struggling to get first gear, it seems, but he gets it rolling. Is he going to keep it going? This is a struggle here, but he finally gets it running, guys. He's out of the pits.
Well, you don't want to stall the car right there in that pit exit because that's very narrow down there.
That's not all that short of a stint. He's still got nearly 40 minutes to go, so they needed to get every bit of fuel in there that they possibly could. That'll be just about a general regular run for these guys. But I think that Weaver probably came in a bit early there too, because he'd got balked badly on that by that slower traffic there, lost a lot of time, and decided to make the stop there and then.
Well, you see the 2 Panos cars running right together. The one car is a lap back. So there's the second on the racetrack and 4th on the racetrack. There's the GT1 standings as the Panos cars running 1 and 2 in class, and I think 2nd and 4th on the racetrack. Once again, your leader is the number 20 Dyson entry, driven right now by Dorsey Schrader in the final 35-38 minutes of this 2.5 time event.
And now the
see the marbles, Dave, excuse me, outside the first turn. You see all those little black marbles out there with rubbing on, collecting.
This, of course, was what makes it difficult to lap people. The 38 cars back on the track again now. Obviously, well, hopefully they've cured whatever was wrong with the brakes.
We'll find out shortly right here.
Yeah, right. He's going to find at the end of the straight.
And here comes your leader, Dorsey Schrader. Final pit stop for the Dyson number 20. He had enjoyed a 50-second lead over David Brabham in the Panos. So the Panos will take the lead, but it will have a pit stop to go. Let's go down to pit lane.
Dorsey brings it in, hits his marks perfectly. They're going to be changing the tires, new fresh set of Goodyears going on. They're going to try and get all the fuel in. Obviously, these guys are just inside their fuel window. James Weaver, just an update on the 16 machine. He's having problems with the clutch, which is why he's struggling here in pit lane. And I spoke to Butch Leitzing. He also said out on the racetrack, the gearbox is acting up also. It's really hanging in gear. They can't really do fast changes. This may be affecting their pace. It seems that Dorsey in the 20 car certainly has the... Oh, and they've got to stop and go, guys. Actually, a penalty here. They obviously had too many men working on the car or whatever. And it's looking at a 10-second stop. That cost him.
You see how narrow that pit exit is right there, as we alluded to that when his teammate made a stop. And here is the Panos number 5. Now that is the second Panos, but that's 2 laps off the lead, Greg.
It is, and that's why they're going to leave Eric Bernard on board for one reason, try and get this stop done as quick as they can. Otherwise, quite routine. Just going to throw on tires, throw in some fuel, and get Eric back out on track as quick as possible. Oh, and the engine has gone off. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Otherwise, everything else looks to be fine. Tires are in. They're just airing out some of the debris that is up in the radiator ducting, trying to make sure that they're getting as much breathing going on into the engine and air ducting to cool it. Car is down off the jacks. Engine refires quickly, and they are away. Bernard back out on track. Quick stop.
So the final stop for Eric Bernard in the one of 2 Panos entries here in GT1 this afternoon. There is your leader, car number 20. Dorsey Schrader continues to lead the final 35 minutes or so from Mid-Ohio. Time remaining just over 32 minutes as you take a look at David Brabham, who is actually leading this thing by just under 5 seconds. Now, the last time in the pit for Dorsey Schrader. You saw that stop and go penalty. They held him in the pits for an additional 10 seconds. That was a stop and go penalty assessed because of a speed limit infraction by EFR on an earlier pit stop. The speed limit is 45 in the pit lane. He exceeded that. So the penalty was assessed on that last stop by Dorsey Schrader. So actually he lost the lead because he's in second place by 4.5 seconds. He lost the lead on the virtue of that penalty.
He lost the lead to the Panos, number 4. But of course the Panos, we're pretty sure, is going to stop again for fuel between now and the end of the race. Still 30 minutes to go.
Overall standings showing the Panos out in front, as well as leading in GT1. You get the 2 Dyson cars running second and third. Number 20 car now about 4.4 seconds behind that leading Panos, and the second Dyson car, number 16. There's the number 20 car that is in second position, now 3.5 seconds behind the Panos, and the number 16 car is in third position. Make that the 16 car is in third position, trying to get an interval from first to third off the scoring monitor. And that interval now is 22.9 seconds. So the number 16 car of James Weaver now almost 23 seconds behind. But as you noted, David Hobbs, it would appear that the number 4 car will have one more stop to make, and that would put the lead back in the hands of the Dyson team.
Absolutely. The Weaver car, the second one of the Dyson cars, going around one of the BMWs now at the moment.
Boris said, well, that's the number 1 car. That would be Mark Simo, the number 1 BMW. There's a look at Larry Schumacher in GT2, co-driving with Andy Pilgrim, who qualified that car yesterday. And they are leading in the GT2 standings.
I think Andy's probably driving it now. Larry Schumacher started off in the car, so Andy must be driving it now. Andy Pilgrim, one of the most amazing records of endurance racing ever.
How many? He's finished like 105 or
I've lost count. I can't even count it, let alone do it.
Pilgrim is 16th in the point standings. Back to your second place now. Again, 3.9 seconds between first and second. So that gap, David, has remained very consistent after that last pit stop. But again, there's the gap you see visually back to second position. But we would anticipate David Brabham making a pit stop. So EFR began, ran a couple of stints, turned it over to Dorsey. Dorsey had a sizable lead when they made that pit stop, then was assessed that 10-second penalty and left the pit lane, and in doing so came out in second position to that car right there.
The Panos, of course, trying to win this race overall, but I'm pretty sure this car has got another pit stop in its future, which will obviously drop it behind the car of Dorsey Schrader.
As he's working gingerly through traffic, there's that red Porsche, the 52 car that has almost been hit a couple times in the rear. William Stipp and David Russell Jr. in the car right now, one of the GT3 entries. And there's only now just over a second between first and second. Right there they are in the same picture as time. 28 minutes remaining in this 2.5-hour event. The U.S. Road Racing Classic is brought to you by Toyota. Every day belongs to you. Make it count. Toyota, every day. With David Hobbs, this is Gary Lee, Calvin Fish, and Greg Creamer in the pit lane as you take a look at first and second. And first place peels off for a pit stop. There is the anticipated stop as David Brabham brings the Panos to the attention of the Don Panos team down there. He relinquishes the lead. And that means that both Dyson cars will be running 1 and 2, a 45-mile-per-hour pit speed limit. And Greg Creamer is down there.
Well, he brings it in right on the money. And, of course, they delayed the stop as long as possible so that they could put in only as much fuel in terms of time as it takes to put the tires on. Once they get the tire change done, they ought to be able to wave him out and get him on the road. That's what the plan was. They're putting in a little bit more. They're being a little bit cautious. They want to make sure they can run full out and get to the finish. If the Dyson cars need to stop, they won't have to. They'll be in good shape. And Brabham back and underway. A very quick stop. I think the plan worked.
Well, you talk about a racing family. The patriarch, Sir Jack, world champion, and there's Jeff and Gary and David. And they're all pretty darn good race drivers.
They're all very good. Of course, Jeff Brabham cleaned up in IMSA there for about a 3-year spell in the Nissan. Ran out of drives here, went back to Australia, drove for BMW in Australia for another couple of years, won a tremendous amount of races there. And I think that Jeff's looking to come back to the States for more employment. His brother David, of course, having a great time in this Panos, driving it here and, of course, in Europe. So a very busy man now is David Brabham.
Well, you take a look down the front straightaway across the finish line there. There is EFR began the race in this car. Dorsey Schrader has the controls right now. And his teammate will be riding in the second position, James Weaver, in the number 16 Dyson car. The 16 car was the fast qualifier. James Weaver qualified yesterday for the pole position after having some engine problems on Friday in practice. Broke a crank in the car.
And James Weaver is now nearly 21 seconds behind Dorsey Schrader and Elliot Forbes Robinson, who started that car. So barring accidents or incidents, this race should run out with Dorsey the winner in the 20 car. I don't think he's going to have to make another dash for fuel. He should be able to get by on what he's got in it. But it is a bit, it's tight. It's not an absolute shoo-in.
The last time we rode with the yellow Ferrari number 88, it was headed back to the paddock area for some repairs. Those repairs now complete. And David, let's take a lap here along board with Bill Dolehite.
Well, here he's onto the main straightaway, going down. This is turn 3, a sweeper there. Coming down to the turn 4 area, about 175 miles an hour on the approach. Down to third gear. Got to make a tight apex here because you want to get over to the right to make a good go at this little left hand. The car gets light as you go over the top. Down the hill to 6. This is the right hand. You got no camber to help you here. The road's very flat. Starts to raise up here. Couldn't lift off the wheels here. Whoa, you hear it going there. Down to turn 9. The road drops off steeply here. Get wheel spin as you come over there. Along through Thunder Valley here. It's a little right hand sweep up to this left hander. Very nasty. There's no camber at all. It actually drops off a bit to the right. You want to stay over to the right, then go deep to the left here. Make a late apex on this curbing here so that you can get a real good shot down the front straightaway here. Exiting there, held up a little bit by that Mazda, not much. Under the bridge, about 145. Onto the brakes, down a gear. And then this one's a really fast corner. Turn 1, very, very fast. Again, no camber to help you. The road actually is pretty smooth. The surface itself is pretty good. Then up to the keyhole. This is probably the most important corner. As you can see, the road falls away as the land falls away, and you really want to try and get some good grip and a good exit speed off that corner, because that's what launches you down that really long straightaway and try and do your out-braking maneuver into turn 4 at the end.
Well, there's a look at your leader, Dorsey Schrader, and he's enjoying about a 21-second margin over this guy's teammate. James Weaver runs in second for the Dyson squad. Less than 14 minutes now remain as the sun starts to break through. One of those weekends where we're never sure what we're going to have, sunshine or rain. As you take a look at Dorsey Schrader, Dorsey enjoying a 21-second margin over his teammate in the number 16 car, James Weaver.
It'll be a very satisfactory result for the team. They qualified first and second, only the other way round. 16 qualified on the pole. But they had that slightly longer stop, and they've also had a bit of a clutch problem, but obviously not enough to put them out of the race, although you can never say that till it's over. But as you say, there's less than 14 minutes to go. Dorsey Schrader has driven well. There's been a lot of traffic out there, all going at very varying speeds. There you see that weak sunshine over the other side of the track. And all in all, a very good afternoon. And of course, one good thing, touch wood, of course, cross your fingers, we have yet to see a caution flag. We haven't seen a yellow flag yet, which I think in a race at this length is tremendous.
Second place is 21.2 seconds back, but third place, first overall in GT1, is 41 seconds behind your leader. And there's a look at David Brabham and the Panos. So the Panos team strategy was let's win it all today at all costs. Well, unless something mechanically happens to those Dyson, Riley, and Scott Ford-powered entries, it ain't going to happen this afternoon.
These guys really were hoping to win overall. Their pit stop strategy, though, in fact, was not that much superior to the Can-Am cars, in spite of the fact they carry more fuel. They still had to stop a lot of times as well, or too many times, and of course they lost too much time on the road. The Can-Am cars were just that bit too quick, especially around here at Meadow High. You got 13 corners in just 2.25 miles, so the Can-Am car much more nimble, lighter, more acceleration, probably better braking, and certainly better cornering on these medium speed corners because it's got a lot more downforce. So they were able to pull out over a 20-second lead before that first stop, and that was enough to just duff them right up.
Calvin Fish.
Just an update, guys. David Brabham is turning laps faster than the pole qualifying time set by James Weaver. 18.0s is what he's turning right now as he really turns the wing up trying to chase down Weaver in the second position. But he may have left it too late. He's catching him by 2 seconds a lap, but it looks like we only have about 5 or 6 laps left.
Yeah, before we have to take a break, I want to say a belated happy birthday to David Hobbs, my compatriot here, who celebrated I won't say which one last Tuesday. So happy birthday as we take a break with just over 11 minutes remaining. 9 minutes now remaining in a 2.5-hour time Can-Am race. This is the rebirth season of Can-Am, the 20th overall season, but the first Can-Am season we've had David Hobbs in a number of years. Brings back some great memories of the glory years of the late 60s and early 70s.
Well, it certainly does. The first Can-Am race here was won by Denny Hulme in 1969. And we've seen some great Can-Am races through the years. Denny Hulme won more. Bruce McLaren never win here. Peter Revson won here. Jackie Stewart won here. David Hobbs did not win here. But all in all, it's good to see the Can-Am cars back. Obviously very, very different to the original Can-Am cars. Same sort of concept, open cockpit, closed wheel sports car with a lot of horsepower, and very exciting to watch. Here's the 16 car.
There's a 16 car. The 16 car right now is losing some ground to the third place machine, that Panos. That is James Weaver riding some 19 seconds behind your leader and his teammate. The Dyson cars are running 1 and 2, but you heard Calvin Fish say that the number 4 car of David Brabham was closing at about 2 seconds a lap. Right now, there are about 23 seconds between second and third.
David Brabham actually lost a couple of seconds on that lap.
Lap traffic.
I can only assume it was that traffic that we saw come under the bridge with him there that held him up in the twisty bit before he got to the pit straight, which cost him some valuable time. But he is, as you say, he's 23 seconds behind second place. So unless James Weaver has a spin, he's going to have to settle for third.
And that would be very uncharacteristic of James Weaver.
Extremely, very uncharacteristic.
This is the point in the race where the car starts to talk to you. The driver hears everything that car is saying. And at a time like this, a driver who is also the team owner, Rob Dyson, you saw him in his fire suit, that he could drive if needed. You know, and there's nothing he can do but watch his guys and think, boy, what could go wrong now?
I was just going to say, Rob Dyson's the one who's hearing noises now. He's no doubt pacing up pit lane and getting a bit worried because, you know, when you got a 1-2 coming up like this with just about 8 minutes left, it is a little bit fraught. 105 laps. So these guys are lapping not an awful lot slower. 105 laps is what, 230 miles, thereabouts. So a fairly good clip for all those pit stops and everything else. But as I said earlier, no caution periods at all in this race. Very, very clean.
We caught a glimpse of the yellow Ferrari. Mike Davies back in the cockpit of the 88 car, but he's in 24th position, some 46 laps back. Andy Pilgrim brings the leader in GT2 to the attention of his pit crew. There's the 99 Porsche, Andy Pilgrim and team owner Larry Schumacher. Let's go pit lane.
It looks like it's just going to be a splash for Andy Pilgrim at this stage of the game. There's only a few minutes left. They were obviously very close on fuel. They stopped at about an hour and 13, hour and 14. It looked like they'd be able to go the rest of the way. But Andy's running a very strong pace. And the leader in GT2 is back on track.
Well, that was just a quick splash to get him enough fuel to make it to the finish. He came in running in the 10th position, some 10 laps back. He was on the same lap with the leader in GT3, Boris Said, in the number 10 BMW. You go back to your lead car, and there is the 28 car. John Field in 28, sharing that with John Miro. Miro in the cockpit, I believe, or is that John Field? John Field's in the cockpit right now. Let's go back to Greg Creamer.
Very quick stop. Well, that was the plan, but another penalty being assessed. Boy, they've been laying out some penalties here, generally for being too quick in the pits. And when you're doing a time stop just to get fuel in the car enough to guarantee a finish, then you get a penalty on top of it. It kills the plan. Buddy is back out. John Field has been lapping very quickly indeed. That is going to be very disappointed. Boy, when he got to the end of the pit lane, he just lit him up. He is frustrated.
Now running in 7th position when he made that pit stop, so the Ohio State Police certainly have been out in force here with their radar guns along pit lane here this afternoon, as Dorsey Schrader continues to show the way with just under 4.5 minutes remaining. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course just outside Lexington, Ohio, it would so appear to be a Dyson sweep. As Dyson right now, the cars running 1 and 2. Those are Riley and Scott chassis with the Ford power plant. And there you see the time remaining under 4 minutes. And right now, 21 seconds, almost 22 seconds separating first and second. Dorsey Schrader out in front right now in the number 20 car. James Weaver in the number 16 car, almost 22 seconds back. And in third position is David Brabham in the Panos. They lead in the GT1 class, but he is 43 seconds behind the leader.
I must say that I just can't believe what a clean race this has been this afternoon. There's the 10 car leading in its class, the GT3, lying in 9th overall, but it is 10 laps down on the leader. But of course they've got about an 80-mile-an-hour gain on him down this straightaway, and that's driven by Bill Auberland started it. Boris Said is finishing off. They have, of course, only made 1 stop, but gone like a train the whole time. Well, of course, there's been some incredible traffic situations this afternoon with the GT3, the GT2, the Can-Ams, and the GT1s all getting mixed up earlier on. And it says a lot for the driving ability of everybody concerned that we haven't had any caution flags this afternoon.
Once again, 21 plus seconds between first and second. You go back on board the Boris Said BMW with under 2.5 minutes remaining as they work through the backside of this racetrack. As you'll see, the pit entrance coming up on the left here. And the scoring tower off to your left along the front straightaway. Very short front straightaway. That's where they actually start these races, on the backstretch. Back to Dorsey Schrader, who now lives in the southern tip of Florida. He's way down. Oh, look at this. Some anxious moments for team owner Rob Dyson. He's standing there with hands together as though he's praying there in the pit lane.
I think he is praying in the pit lane.
As once again, you're seeing the overall standing showing the Dyson cars running 1 and 2. Then the Panos cars running 3 and 4, although the second Panos car is 2 laps back. The Boiselle car number 5, being driven now by Eric Bernard, 2 laps off the pace. And in 5th position is the Henry Campherdam entry, number 8. Scott Schubot sharing the driving chores with Henry Campherdam.
They've done very well. I mean, they're only 3 laps off the pace, which is really not a huge amount in a 2.5-hour event. When you're up against the might of people like the Dyson team and, of course, the Panos team. The Panos team obviously pretty new in racing. The whole thing is very, very new, but boy, they're certainly making their mark in automobile racing.
When you talk about Can-Am racing, you talk about those legendary cars like the McLarens, the Lolas early on. By the 70s, it was the Porsche. First victory, perhaps, we don't want to jinx him, but this would be the first victory for a Ford in Can-Am competition, and the first victory for the driver of number 20, and that would be Dorsey Schrader. Of course, his teammate would be EFR. Of course, EFR has won everything in every division and just keeps on winning.
He's done everything. Ooh.
One thing about EFR, though, he has a lust for life. He has what I call the youthful enthusiasm. He really enjoys what he's doing.
He loves it. Absolutely loves it. He wouldn't be doing it if he didn't. Started racing in 1968.
Always has a big smile on his face. In the waning moments of this one, the former Trans Am champion is about to put another win in his resume. This time in the Can-Am competition.
So by the time the checkered flag falls, these guys have done 111 laps probably, and about 200, pretty close to 250 miles. The car there of Dorsey Schrader showing some signs of squirreling as it goes over that drop. That's where the road drops away, and you under power, you get a lot of wheel spin.
Well, that's correct. Something I said the first Ford win, actually, they won at Homestead back in May, and there it is. There it is. The crew is out. There's the EFR, the other driver, along with the team owner. There's the checkered flag, the arm raised high and jubilation celebration as he takes it down into turn 1, down the straightaway to the keyhole. And here comes the number 4 car. Now this car will finish in 3rd position overall, but will take the GT1. And I have to tell you, knowing Don Panos, he's not going to be happy. They wanted to win it all this afternoon. They've won in class almost every outing. They wanted to win it all.
Well, they're going to have to work a little bit harder and get slightly better fuel consumption, but they've obviously got the potential of winning one of these races overall before long. There's Dorsey Schrader, finger raised.
So his victory margin was 15.1 seconds over the other Dyson car, driven by James Weaver. And there's the Panos, who finishes 3rd overall and takes the GT1 class. And we're waiting for him to cross the finish line. I don't know. He may be, he's awfully slow there, David. He comes off that last turn. He'll make it to the finish line. He might be struggling with fuel.
Boy, he's going slow, isn't he?
And he finished like 78 seconds back, so he really slowed off on that last lap. But the victory, 1-2 sweep for Team Rob Dyson. The U.S. Road Racing Classic has been brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and by Toyo Tires. On the road or on the track, Toyo Praxis radials deliver quality second to none for uncompromised performance. Toyo Tires, driven to perform. Top 5 once again. The top 2 from Team Dyson. Then it was the Panos, and then it was the Schubert Camperdown car finishing 5th. Now to our Yokohama Victory Lane interview. Here's Greg Creamer.
Dorsey, this one's been a while in coming, hasn't it? Big win.
Big win. First win in Can-Am for me. I'm really glad. I got to thank Rob Dyson for having trust in me. The Goodyear tire guys were perfect. We had a great tire. The Lozano motor did the job. I over-revved the heck out of it. I didn't want to tell you, but hey, we won it, buddy.
They are very happy down here and well-deserved.
So that will wrap it up as Team Dyson goes 1-2 here in the 2.5-hour Can-Am GT extravaganza from Mid-Ohio. For David Hobbs, Calvin Fish, Greg Creamer, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. So long from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.